Good morning, guys. I literally just woke up. Welcome to my kitchen. So this week you guys have two more assignments. The first one I will put up right here. So you're going to write me a story. It can be about anything. It doesn't have to be about Odysseus or anything like that, as long as it uses your 5 vocabulary words. And then again, you can scan it or take a photo and upload it, or if you want to do a Word document, you can do that as well. And then your second assignment is we're moving on to the next section of the Odyssey, and we're going from book 1 to book 9 all of a sudden now. And in book 9, there are a few different little sections. We're going to read 2 of them today. The first one is called I am Laertes' son, and that is Odysseus. So Laertes is Odysseus's father. And you're going to answer one question for me on that. And then for the second one that we're going to look at today, it's called The Lotus Eaters, and it's probably one of the most famous sections of the poem overall. We're going to read that, and then we're going to look at a clip from Percy Jackson, if you guys have seen that. And you're going to answer one question for me on that book as well. So this week is a vocabulary story that is half a page, and then you're going to answer 2 guided reading questions. So again, I just went into our portal textbook and clicked on student ebook. And then I'm going to make our page nice and big here. And we're on page 372. All right, so this says book 9, New Coasts and Poseidon's Son. For 7 of the 10 years Odysseus has spent wandering the Mediterranean Sea, he has been held captive by the goddess Calypso on her island. In book 5, Zeus sends the god Hermes to tell Calypso to release Odysseus. She helps him build a raft on which he can sail to his next destination. He must sail for 20 days before landing on the island of Scheria, where he will be helped in his effort to return home. In books 6 through 8, Odysseus is welcomed by King Alcinous, who gives a banquet in his honor. That night, the king begs Odysseus to tell who he is and what has happened to him. In books 9 through 12, Odysseus relates to the king his adventures. So this has basically just told us everything that we've missed from book 2 through book 8. And now we're going to hear about book 9. And essentially this says in books 9 through 12, Odysseus relates to the king his adventures. So we're going to hear everything that we missed. So this starts, I am Laertes' son. What shall I say first? What shall I keep until the end? The gods have tried me in 1,000 ways. But first my name. Let that be known to you, and if I pull away from pitiless death, friendship will bind us, though my land lies far. I am Laertes' son, Odysseus. Men hold me formidable for guile in peace and war. Formidable. Formidable means strong, and it says that men consider him impressive for his cunning and craftiness. So he's well known for what a good warrior he is. This fame has gone abroad to the sky's rim. My home is on the peaked sea mark of Ithaca, under Mount Nion's wind-blown robe of leaves, in sight of other islands, Dulichium, Same, wooded Zacynth, Ithaca, being most lofty in that coastal sea, and northwest, while the rest lie east and south. A rocky isle, but good for a boy's training. I shall not see on earth a place more dear, though I have been detained long by Calypso, loveliest among goddesses, who held me in her smooth caves to be her heart's delight. As Circe of Aea the enchantress, desired me and detained me in her hall, but in my heart I never gave consent. And basically what I'm seeing in these two lines is he's talking about these two goddesses who kept him captive for years at a time. And for Calypso, he loved being with her. However, with Circe, it says he was detained in her hall, but in my heart I never gave consent. So he had a negative experience there. Where shall a man find sweetness to surpass his own home and his parents? In far lands he shall not, though he finds a house of gold. What of my sailing then from Troy? What of those years of rough adventure weathered under Zeus? Odysseus explains that soon after leaving Troy, he and his crew land Ismarus, the city of the Cicones. The Cicones are allies of the Trojans and therefore enemies of Odysseus. Okay, so my first question to you, and I'm going to go back here, is just about this first section here. So we know that now, instead of the muse speaking, we have Odysseus speaking. And it says, what shall I say first? What shall I keep until the end? And my question to you is, what is Odysseus very aware of in terms of his role as a storyteller? If he's asking what he should say first and what he should keep until the end, what's going on in his mind and what is he considering about this story he's about to tell? What's his role in telling it, and how is he going to tell it to us? Go ahead and pause here while you answer question number 1, which is for I am Laertes' son. This answer needs to be 2 to 3 complete sentences. So you can start off with Odysseus, in telling his story, is aware that, and then I need specific textual evidence for your answer here. The second story we're going to read today is called The Lotus Eaters. I might have made it safely home that time, but as I came round Malea, the current took me out to sea, and from the north a fresh gale drove me on past Cythera. 9 days I drifted on the teeming sea before dangerous high winds. Upon the 10th, we came to the coastline of the lotus eaters, who live upon that flower. So the lotus is a flower, and it says they live upon it, so which means they eat it. We landed there to take on water, so they basically stopped to get some more supplies. All ships' companies mustered alongside for the midday meal. Then I sent out 2 picked men and a runner to learn what race of men that land sustained. So it says, I sent out 2 picked men and a runner to learn what race of men that land sustained. So before he and his men actually get off the ship and go on to the island, he sends some messengers basically to go find out, are these violent men? Are they kind? What type of people live there? They fell in soon enough with the lotus eaters, who showed no will to do us harm, only offering the sweet lotus to our friends. But those who ate this honeyed plant, the lotus, never cared to report nor to return. Okay, so it says they showed no will to do us harm, but they offered us some of this flower. People who ate it, however, never cared to report nor to return. They longed to stay forever, browsing on that native bloom, forgetful of their homeland. So essentially, this lotus is like a drug that makes them forget that they want to go home. It makes them lazy. It makes them want to stay on this island forever. So it messes with their mind. I drove them, all 3 whaling, to the ships, tied them down under their rowing benches, and called the rest. All hands aboard. Come, clear the beach, and no one taste the lotus, or you lose hope of home. Filing into their places by the rowlocks, my oarsmen dipped their long oars in the surf, and we moved out again on our seafaring. Okay, so now you guys are going to watch a clip from Percy Jackson where they go to the Lotus Casino and they eat some cupcakes that are supposed to be just like the flowers that Odysseus's men eat. And now my question to you is, you guys are going to write me a short paragraph, so 4 or 5 sentences, discussing something else that you see in life or in the world that distracts us from the realities of real life, that makes us think that we could live in this sort of like fantasy world forever, and ultimately we have to be like pulled back into reality. So just like the lotus flowers for Odysseus's men, and just like the cupcakes for Percy Jackson and his friends, they made the men forget about their responsibilities and their families and what existed outside of their little bubble that they're in. So my example, and you can't use this one, is South Beach. So you guys know this, right? Whenever you tell people you live in Miami, where do they picture that you live? At least for me, everybody pictures, I'm right on South Beach. And I think that's true for a lot of people. So to me, South Beach has this like allure. It has this draw of like, you're going to live like Dwayne Wade, and you're going to have a mansion and a jet ski right on the water, and you're going to be at the club until 5 o'clock in the morning, and, you're going to be out to eat, and all of these kinds of like fantastical things that really only exist for a very small percentage of the people. And so I think people go there to kind of like forget about their real lives and live in this fantasy world. But I don't know that that sort of lifestyle is sustainable unless you are, play for the Heat or whatever it is. So think of something like that. It could be a place. It could be a sort of person, like maybe a type of person that like lures people away from their real lives. It could be like a job. It could be a lifestyle. Like maybe you think this about like YouTubers, and everybody thinks like, oh, I can go be a famous YouTuber. Whatever it is, something that lures people away from kind of like the reality of life. What is that? And how is it similar to the lotus flowers? Okay, so pause here and answer that. Again, 4 or 5 sentences. And then I will see you next week. Let me know, of course, whatever questions that you have. And I hope you guys have a great week.